I should be set up now.
Okay, cool. I play my favorite song, which is Three Little Birds, and this is going to be the third time I've restarted it, and Henry's going to be going, so you have to stop doing that.
I love it. That's awesome. I love your necklace.
That's my intro. Thank you. This was my mother-in-law's. She passed about a year ago, and I like to wear her stuff.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
Even more beautiful knowing the story behind it.
I know.
Yeah.
I have several of her really great pieces.
Wow.
Yeah. She was a neat lady.
I love the Indian culture or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Their jewelry is just amazing. I keep losing my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it went off. It usually goes red, and now it's not done anything. I don't know if something happened, so bear with me just a second. I'm not sure.
Oh, you're fine.
And I'm going to have to start my song over for a fourth time. I hope he tells me what we're doing.
You're making Henry's day.
I know. I don't know. I don't think it's going. So, there are two cameras, so I feel like one might be going. Okay.
One camera's live, this one's just having a tough time.
Okay.
One camera is live.
Oh, okay. Well,
so go ahead and continue.
Okay, I'm starting Four Little Birds for the fourth time. Okay. So let me get this going because this is my favorite song of all time. Hey everybody, Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition Radio. It seems we only have one camera, so if it was a little wonky, of course I always start this off wonky anyway, but if it was just a little bit wonky, that's why one of the cameras is not happy with us right now. But Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live here on KUHSdenver.com. What are we about? We are about truth in health and wellness. And what does that mean? It's really quite broad, right? I'm going to turn some of the music down. Three Little Birds is my happy place. We want to bring more than just what we hear about, your typical stuff when it comes to healthcare, right? Healthcare is not, one-dimensional. We have our mind, we have our body, we have our spirit, we've got our physical health, we have mindset, we have all of these things. And so my goal for this show is to bring you the truth the best that I can and bring you people who are truly amazing and unique in what they do and how they approach health and wellness, and who really just kind of give me chills. And so I think that they'll give you chills too, which is what I love. So today we have Miss Connie Jones. Connie is, I'm going to let you explain it because you're going to explain it better than I am. But she's a therapist, trained therapist, but a mindset coach, right? And helps us, those of us, I'm one of those who just gets stuck, right? And we get, in order to be the best that we can be and to be who we're put here to be, we don't want to get stuck, or we don't want to be stuck, and we want to move forward, and we want to, give and have all that we have, and to be able to give it out to the people and to the world, right? And
yes.
Connie, I'm going to let you talk about what you do here in just a second, but we always start the show with gratitude. And I would love for you to tell us what you're grateful for today.
Well, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Oh gosh, there's so much to be grateful for every day, and there was a time when I didn't live in gratitude, and I'm grateful that I live in gratitude now. I'm grateful that I have so much to be thankful for, that I wake up every day in a positive, empowered mindset, that, I have gotten so much breakthrough in my own life and in my own business, and now I can inspire others to to do the same, and that I get to do that kind of rewarding work on a daily basis. That's what I'm grateful for most every day, or every day. And just another beautiful day to make a difference in the world.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
What am I grateful for today? I'm grateful, it's sometimes hard to pinpoint because there are always so many things. Back a couple of weeks ago, I had talked about how, I'm grateful for the people in my life and those people who have influenced me so much. One of those we just lost. So it was my husband's uncle just passed, and so we went to his funeral over the weekend, and it was really, as hard as it's to say, funerals are beautiful. When you hear the stories of a life who created so much good and then helped so many people. He was a business coach. But he would mentor these people for years and years and years and years, and he had his mentees there, who were talking about him and telling stories, and the businesses he built and the community that he built. He had so much faith, and they kept talking about his his world was faith, family, and business, and it was beautiful, and I was grateful to be able to know him, and to be a part of his life and his family. He helped everybody. I mean, it was just really so cool. So that is a big. That's what's just kind of sitting on my heart, because it's hard to lose people, but there's a comfort in knowing where he's going or where he is. Right, and I love that. And then I have some really cool opportunities coming up that I think that I'm not going to talk about, but I'm super grateful for amazing opportunities that have been put in front of me. So that's what I'm grateful for. All right, let's kind of jump in. And the way that I typically like to start the show when I have somebody new on is talk about who you are. Let's talk about who you are, what you do, why you're here, what excites you, what motivates you, what it is that brought you to where you are today, because everybody has a story that brings them to this really cool place where they are. And so I want to know, and I want everybody to know a little bit about your story.
Yeah, well, and I am a therapist by education and practiced private practice counseling for years, and then but as a high achiever, a performer, a programmed performer, I had several breakdowns over my years, but a big one at age 39. I'll just cut right to the chase of the turning point in one of the big turning points in my story. I had a very successful counseling business, was helping everybody else, felt like I was in my calling, was helping everybody else live the life that they wanted to be living, was helping them heal their marriages, move forward in their businesses, move forward in their lives. And I've always been one of those therapists who was a coach. I've always helped people just really move out of the stuck and move into that next level for themselves, whatever that may be. So that's always been my natural way. I'm a motivator, intuitive, but I wasn't doing the work that I really wanted to be doing. I had this call inside for more, and I knew that there was more impact that I wanted to be making. I knew that there was more that I wanted to help that I wanted more freedom myself. I wanted to be doing my work differently, and I felt stuck. And but I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't understand it at the time, but I was really stuck in patterns of survival, and I was stuck in patterns of and mindset patterns that had allowed me to survive and succeed up to a certain point, but were not allowing me to thrive at the level that I wanted to, and I wasn't able to unleash the greatness inside of me. I was limited. I was living under a ceiling, and I felt imprisoned by that. And I'm a free spirit and a freedom lover, a freedom fighter, and I lived with my heart fully alive, and I felt like my soul was dying inside, and I not only was I'm not really doing the work that I wanted to do, but I wasn't living the life that I wanted. I was a single woman. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I just felt stuck in so many areas. I didn't have the relationships that I wanted, community-wise. I was surviving. I was living in struggle, striving, and surviving instead of, and I would read, about the life that I was created for, and like I would, just cry out in moments of despair, how did I miss the memo? I would see everybody else seemingly living this life that I wanted to be living, and I couldn't figure out where I had gone wrong. I was smart. I was, I had been able to be successful in everything I'd ever done. Why couldn't I figure this out, And so I continued in that pattern of stuck for a long time, not knowing what else to do and how to get out of it. And finally, my body, my mind, my spirit just broke down, and I couldn't do it anymore. And I ended up in adrenal fatigue and early menopause at 39, and just thyroid issues, the whole bit. And I was depressed. I had anxiety, just because my body was alarming me that you are not living in alignment with who you are. You're not living in congruency with what you say is really most important to you and who you were created to be.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
Because what you said, I think, is really important, and really important for people to understand, because in my world, I work with people who have adrenal fatigue. I work with people who have thyroid issues. They have anxiety. They have depression. We have all of these things. But really what we're looking at is, what is it, the chicken or the egg? And do all of these things come from our history and from beating ourselves up and from working our tails off? Or is there a traumatic experience in our past? All of these things can take us to where just exactly what you just said was, I found myself in this place where I was really sick. And you said the alarm signals went off. These are all symptoms. Thyroid imbalance is a symptom. Depression is a symptom. Anxiety is a symptom. Pain is a symptom. Yes. And so,
And I had bad and low energy too. Well, I started having that chronic fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
And chronic pain. All of the things. Mm-hmm. All of the alarms. All the system. The symptoms.
Yeah. So good for you for recognizing it. But I think it's such an important piece of the puzzle, of the many, many, many pieces, and important for anybody out there who's watching this and you're experiencing one or all of these things that we're talking about. Start to think about it. Start to think about what's going on and what you're thinking about and what your life is like and what your relationships are like and what your work is like, and are you living where it is that you want to be living? And if you're not, start figuring out how to.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And we're so afraid, and I know this was the case for me, I was so afraid of, I'll say this, I was in survival mode every day. Sure. So I just kept doing what I felt like I had to keep doing in order to survive and to succeed at the level that I knew that I could succeed. And I had great success. I'm not, I wasn't hurting, but not able to live and thrive in some ways, but it just wasn't the life that made me feel fully me, and that was aligned with who I am, and that made me, that fulfilled me and gave me joy every day. It wasn't the impact that I wanted to be making. I just knew there was more, and that whisper inside just started to become a roar, and I couldn't deny it anymore. And so I didn't know what else to do other than start looking at other people who were doing what I really wanted to be doing. And so I reached out to one. I had no idea how I was going to pay for it, but she was a coach, and she had made the transition that I wanted to make, and she was doing the work that I wanted to be doing and living the life that I wanted to be living. And so I found somebody, it made sense to me. All right, I'm going to just start asking for help. I'm not going to stay in that place of beating myself up because I've done it all wrong, or stay in the shame and the frustration of how did I get here. That wasn't working for me anymore. I knew that I had to move forward, and I had to ask for help to get out of it. And so I did start really dealing with the reality of what was going on, and understand that this was an alarm system. This was a signal to let me know that what was happening inside of me was actually something more that wanted to come out of me. And I was keeping it stuck, and my energy was stale and stagnant. And as long as that was the case, then I was going to be in dis-ease, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And so I started working with a coach, and she helped me over the next couple of years transition my life and my business and into the dream that I wanted to be living and wanted to be creating, and that dream in my heart. And of course, I'm still in process of that, but I've come a long way. It's amazing. I never thought I would be where I am in my life or my work. And it just gets better every day. But two of the biggest things I did have to look at that I didn't realize were my sticking points were the habits and the mindsets, the behavioral patterns, and the programming that I had that was unconscious, subconscious, and subconscious, that had gotten me to the point that I was at, but it wasn't taking me any further. And so it's challenging, it's learning to challenge those, being aware first of the programming. How was I programmed? What was I believing? And because we are either consciously creating our reality, or we're unconsciously creating our reality. And I was consciously creating or unconsciously creating a reality that I didn't want. And I had no idea that I was the problem, that I thought I was the victim. I thought, I didn't have any idea the power that I have in creating my own reality, and what was possible for me, and how much more was available to me that I had no idea how to open up to, by making some energy shifts, by making some spiritual shifts, by changing some things in my habits and patterns of behaving, and changing some real stinky mindsets that were keeping me limited. And so over the last 10 years, I've gotten so passionate about it because I've seen such drastic, incredible changes in my own life and my own business, that now that is the work that I do, is help people move from struggling, striving, and surviving in life, work, and business to thriving, to identify what are those patterns that are not working for you, that have worked to a certain degree, but now they're limiting you, and what do you need in order to begin to break through those barriers. And so I'm a master of breakthrough, and that's the way I spend my life every day, is I help people get those breakthroughs.
I love that. And I love that you have it's almost like, in my mind anyway, you have it all. You have so you have the you have
I feel like I do. I mean, I know that sounds, there's always next level. I mean, I'm one of those that's never, I'm always growing, I'm always expanding, but like I feel so grateful every day. But I was like, that was not my reality 10 years ago at all.
Well, it's amazing, because what I love is, you have the therapist counseling background, so you've got, so much of that, but then you've taken it and you moved it. And I'll tell you that when we first chatted, one of our connection points was the fact that we're both Christians, and then, you have it all over your website that's how you come to helping people, and that's where you are spiritually, and I think it's amazing. But then Also, bringing into it, which I found fascinating, is you're an intuitive. So at some point I kind of wanted, well, probably here in a little bit when we finish this segment, I kind of want to get into that and understand that a little bit and talk about that, because this isn't something that we've talked about, in detail, and so here's where we're going to talk about it.
Oh, I love talking about it, yeah.
Yeah.
And from a Christian perspective, because it does change things a little, I mean, it's important to understand where your power comes from.
Right, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Very cool. So I didn't mean to stop you. I think, is there anything you want to add? You can see it on your face, which is super cool, that you are just as happy as you can be, and I just think it's amazing. So good for you. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, is there anything you want to add to that before we move on?
No, I could talk about it from, I could, say so much more about it, but nothing that, that feels pertinent to, that I feel like I left off in particular.
Cool, cool, good. Yeah. Well, then let's do, real quick, let's do a quick break. And so I want to talk about my sponsor. So I have a sponsor. They're a new sponsor for me, and they're called Cellcore Biosciences. And I'm a little bit in love with their products. So they are a practitioner-focused product line, and the way that they work is they are innovative in, I have to look at my notes, I wish I could say everything just off the top of my head, but they're innovative in their research. They're backed by tons and tons of science and energetics and trials, and they look at their products, and they have their products is all based on data, and they're unique in the way that in their delivery system, and so their delivery system is by these bioactive carbons that allow the nutrients, the herbs, the minerals, all of the components of the supplement to get deep into the body and pull out environmental toxins, the chemicals, the toxins, the microbes that don't belong there. We have lots of good microbes in us, but there's some that don't belong there. And so this helps to pull out those, and they can also hold on to toxins and create more problems. So it has the potential of being a little bit of a downward spiral. And this company a little bit has changed the way that I practice, because they're so innovative and unique in the way that their product works. So they are a product that is you can only find them through a practitioner, but you can go to their website and go to Cellcore Biosciences and check them out. You can find a practitioner through them. Of course, I'm a practitioner for them, not for them, but I use their supplements, and they're pretty amazing at what they do. They are helping those with things like Lyme disease, where you have these multiple infections and these so many comorbidities that can go along with something like Lyme disease, and they're helping people to get rid of all of the little buggers that create such a toxic burden on the body. So excited to continue to learn more about this product and to continue to bring them to you, because I just think they're great, and I love innovation, and they are truly innovative. So moving on, I have here in my notes to just kind of let's talk a little bit about, because then this can kind of go anywhere, but getting stuck. How so many of us get stuck, how we get stuck, why we get stuck, what does it look like to be stuck, and then what does it look like when you work with people to get them unstuck?
Yeah, and I'll start with your first question, and why do we get stuck? We are survival beings. We have an incredible God-given ability to survive in a very scary, threatening, painful, dark world. Yeah. With lots of threats, and so our brain becomes very adept at survival mechanisms, and we like to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. That's we like familiar because it feels safe.
Right.
And so we we're great at developing these patterns of thinking and behaving that keep us safe, and they feel very comfortable and very familiar, and that feels really good to us. Yet, at some point, we have to really take a look at, is this really, this pattern that I'm in, this trajectory of my life, these feelings that I'm having on a daily basis, this emotional, spiritual state that I live in on a daily basis, is it really working for me? Is it love, peace, joy, kindness? You know, I mean, am I living the life that God created me for? You know, he says very clearly, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full, not lacking anything and overflowing. And I struggled with that for a long time, because I'm like, you know, our culture teaches us, oh, you just, you know, hustle for your worthiness, you get by, you stay crazy busy, you stay distracted, you just go through the motions, you take care of the duties, the responsibilities, the obligations. Well, I wanted to live fully alive. I wanted to live this overflowing life and be connected to my Creator, and, you know, hear his voice and know his peace inside and his joy overflowing from me every day. And what would that feel like? You know, well, our culture, our society teaches us, you know, well, that's just kind of too good to be true. You just settle for life, you pay bills, and you die. You do what you're supposed to do, you be who you're supposed to be, you meet all the expectations, and you know, and that wasn't working for me. I guess call me a rule breaker, but that, you know,
I love rule breakers.
I wasn't settling for that. That wasn't okay for me. And I am a light. I feel things very deeply. I always am questioning why at a deeper level, trying to understand things. And I want to feel connected. And it didn't sit well. And so I began to explore, hey, what is this about? You know, why are we doing the things that we're doing? Why is this all there is? You know, the whys.
Yeah.
And as I began to explore it from every perspective, from a science perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a psychology perspective, and from a wellness perspective, I began to understand how our bodies function. And at some point along the way, every single one of us learns that in order to survive and succeed, I must blank. And, you know, and it's different for everybody. And we learn that consciously, unconsciously, and subconsciously. We may have direct messages, we may have spoken messages, we may have unspoken messages, we may have just experiences that teach us that. Whatever, all of those combined teach us this programming that, you know, we learn who we are, we learn what we're valued for, or how we're valued. We learn what we can do, what's available to us, what's not. We learn who God is and who God isn't. We learn all of these schema of beliefs that become our programming. And we fall into that pattern, and that feels real to us. And so we establish this filter that we see life through, and we never question that to a certain, you know, up to a certain point. We just do what we're supposed to do. We follow everybody else. We, you know, look at everybody else and research their lives and figure out, okay, you know, how do I get that? What, you know, what are they doing? But we never really check in with our heart and the Holy Spirit within us, and that intuitive, that compass inside of us, that is our wisest self, that is our guide for creating what God created us to create in our lives. We're the master artist. And so I began questioning that and wanted to understand, okay, wait, how do I get in touch with this place in me that, you know, if I'm a powerful creator of my own reality and I'm made in his image and in his likeness, and I am a powerful child of the God who created the whole universe, what does that mean that I'm capable of? In him, not by myself.
Of course.
Not in my self-sufficiency.
Right.
But and so as I began to study that on all levels, like I said, you know, holistically, I began to challenge things, and I would have people come in my office, and, you know, and I would see, well, this isn't working for them, and this is, you know, they're having depression, they're having anxiety, and or they're having conflicts in their relationships, and it was all patterns. It was all a pattern of somehow they had been programmed that was not working for them anymore. It was an outdated program. Or it was a pattern of behavior that was no longer taking them in the direction that was congruent and aligned with what their truth was inside of them and how God had created them and their wiring and their giftings. They were not using they were being someone they were not.
Yeah.
And didn't even know it.
Isn't that amazing?
And our body tells us that. And so we stay stuck until we're willing to challenge, we're willing to look at the alarms and the symptoms that are going on, that are saying, that are, sometimes whispering to us and sometimes roaring, and sometimes incapacitating us. Everybody's at a different level when they're willing to take a look at it, and it's, we often need someone to help guide us through that, because we have gotten so far away from listening to ourselves and connecting with ourselves that we don't even know why it's going on. We just know something's not working.
Right.
And it doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. When I am talking with, if I'm doing a talk, or if I'm talking with clients, one of the things that I say is we have stopped listening to our body. So we've stopped, understanding that whatever it is that we're feeling, thinking, whatever's going on, we're thinking, okay, I just need to get rid of it. So let me take an Advil, or let me go get a drug, or let me do this, instead of really digging deep into what it actually is. And so what you're saying is very similar and familiar, because it's very much along the same lines that, we get even if we're comfortable in our space, doesn't mean it's comfortable. It's just what we know, right?
That's right.
And so, we get comfortable with pain, and we get comfortable with being unhappy, or being in a bad relationship, or with the business not going the way that it should.
Or we think living in stress every day, and misery, or dissatisfaction and lack of fulfillment is just life. And it's not living, it's surviving.
Right.
And I'm so passionate about that. You're exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And but because we don't know what else to do, we're doing the very best we can. And we don't need to shame ourselves. This isn't condemnation for anybody. It's just hopefully awakening and enlightening that, it's because there's more for us, but we just don't know how to access it.
Right. Yeah. So how do you help people access it? And I would say, in my mind, this is kind of where the intuitive comes in a little bit, and I'm so excited to talk about this. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I have a God-given gift to be able to see it in people. I wish that I could put it in. I wish I could, replicate it, and it is just it's a gift that I have, that when I sit down and I talk with someone, I know the questions to ask. I know exactly, how to help them get to it. But really, so that's the intuitive process. It's just, I have this sixth sense of knowing. Mm-hmm. I know things that other people don't know. I feel things that other people don't know. I'm not the only one God has given many people this gift. But I just happen to have it, and thank God I get to do this every day to help others uncover the things that need uncovering. But other than that, it really is about leading people back to their Creator. It's back to the essence of who you are, and back to your heart, and teaching people how to reconnect with themselves and reconnect to their heart and begin to listen. But in order to do that, we have to quiet all the other noise. And a lot of times the noise is either the inner critic in our head, it's the programming that tells us that this is all there is, that it's the expectations, the responsibilities, the duties, the obligations, it's the pattern, it's breaking that pattern of the have-tos. It's something has to stop that long enough to be able to get some quiet and some clarity. Mm. And then I teach people how to connect with their heart, to drop down out of their head, and because our wisdom doesn't come from our brain, our wisdom comes from our heart and our heart space, and from the Holy Spirit in us. So it's learning how to. It's a practice that I help people reconnect to. It's innately in all of us. It's not something that we have to learn to that we have to get for ourselves. It's something we have to learn to tune
Okay.
It's like tuning an instrument. We all have this beautiful instrument that we have no idea how to use. And it's right here in our body, and we've never had anybody teach us how to do that.
Right.
And so I teach people how to do that.
I think that's amazing. So are there, is it, and I don't want to go too deep because I don't want to, I mean, this is not a session for me, but are they exercises? Are they, some examples of what you do to help people with that?
Yeah, I love taking people out in nature. I love connecting them, helping them connect to the places that they feel the most joy, where they have been the most passionate in the past, where they have felt the most, where they feel happiest and most fulfilled. And I remind them of that. I help them, I encourage them to go to those places, to be in those spaces more. And then sometimes it's journaling. It depends on the person. Sometimes it's whatever they relate to. Sometimes it's journaling. Sometimes it's going and having fun. Sometimes it's being with animals and nature. That was mine, being with animals and nature.
That would be me, yeah.
Well, water, and a lot, and then a lot of times it's really taking a look at okay, what are beliefs that you've had about spirituality? Do you have religion or do you have relationship? And how do we help you get relationship? And it's learning to tune in and hear that voice. And I actually do some exercises with them to help them, hear the wise voice inside of them. Other things that I do, let's see, other mindful practices. So I'll do some mindfulness, meditative kinds of practices.
Hold on 1 second. We have a problem. I'm hoping that Henry's going to come back here. Sorry, because I can't hear you. Oh, there you are. There we are. Yay. I get nervous when something technical happens. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Okay. What did you hear me say last? And I'll pick up there.
You're talking about the mindset, and so it's about 5 seconds probably that you were gone.
Okay, I think probably the last thing I said was it is the spiritual practices, the mindfulness, the meditation, the breathing, being grounded, being present, because we can hear when we're grounded and present. We just, like I said, have to tune out the noise. The other thing that I teach people how to do is how to distinguish between their protector self versus their nurturing true self.
Sure.
And so the protector self is the naysayer in our head. It's the judge. It's the inner critic, the one that has allowed us to survive and succeed. And we have a lot of trust in that voice because we've needed that voice to survive and succeed up to this point. And so we don't want to get rid of that voice, or we don't want to get rid of that persona. I'm not saying that we have a separate personality, but it's a persona that we've created.
Sure.
So we don't want to get rid of it. We just want to quiet it. We want to understand what purpose it served in our life, and then we want to ask it to retire. It has served a great purpose, but it doesn't have to drive our bus anymore.
Yeah.
And so I help people distinguish between, really create those personas. Okay, what does this voice tell you versus, and if we learn to listen to this other quiet voice, this wise voice inside, that is your truth, that is really who you are, that is that speaking from your heart, what would that voice say? The last thing, and then I'll move on from this, is the last thing I do is I help people really identify their essence. And that's an incredible tool when people can understand how they were created, how are they wired, what's their natural personality style, what is their natural way of showing up in the world, when are they most themselves, what are the natural giftings, what are their spiritual.
Did it again. I don't know what's happening. Sorry. I'm glad you can see that it stopped. Okay. All right. Let's try again.
Okay. So what are their natural giftings? What are their spiritual gifts? What are, helping them reconnect with their passions? Because so many people have lost touch with their passion, what they're really truly passionate about. They have no clue. And so I help them reconnect with that. I have little exercises to do all this.
Okay.
And then their strengths, all of those things, so that we combine all of that information into the essence of who they are. And so they can get on, this picture holistically of, this is who I am when I'm most naturally, authentically me. When I'm happiest and most fully alive, this is the picture of me. And then I help them identify their purpose in life, because all of those things come in together along with their story and their experiences that help them identify their purpose. And when they can understand what they're truly created for, and oftentimes, they get that from, this coming together of information, but they also usually God will speak that to them. I have three very distinct times that God spoke to me about my passion, and now I wake up every single day knowing exactly who I am and why I'm here.
Wow. And
when you can know that, it is like it's another whole way of living. To hear that from your creator daddy, that like, this is how I made you, and this is what I made so special about you.
Wow.
So I help people do that.
That's amazing. It just gives me chills. Yeah. It really truly gives me chills. And I love that you said creator daddy. I think it's so makes it, I don't know, I was going to say humanizing, but that's not true. I was going to say real, and that's not true, because they're both, but it's more the heart, I think. I just love that. Yeah, so thank you for saying that.
Well, that's the piece that when we bring the heart piece in, and everything I do is heart-centered, because, we're taught in religion, and I've been to, church, my family was in church every time the doors were open when I was growing up, but I had religion, not relationship, and so, and God, that was one of the things that He did speak to me along the way. He said, I made you a heart warrior. I made you a warrior for people's hearts, because that's the piece that we lose. And I was battling for my own heart in the midst of all the things that were trying to, steal parts of me and dim my light. And He said, no, I made you a heart warrior for your own heart, and to battle the darkness in others' hearts, so that they can live fully alive in the true essence that I created them, so that they can live in their purpose and their destiny.
Do you teach others how to do what you do?
That is a great question. I do. I would love to do that at a whole nother level. It's just time and spaciousness to be able to do that.
Right.
I have, I do own a practice where there's 6 of us, and so there are 5 other therapists and coaches, and I do actually meet with them one-on-one and develop them. As the practice owner, I have gotten to, it is such a privilege and such a reward on a daily basis to be able to develop this in them. I love also, anytime I meet another intuitive or another person who has a gift of the heart of some sort, gifts are different, but anytime somebody has a gift of the heart and they're tuned into it, I love helping them just go to the next level with it. So I'm absolutely open to training people to do it. Would love to do that at a whole nother level, like I said, but it's just the time and the spaciousness to do it.
I know, I get it. But what you have to offer is just, it's just really beautiful. And so I had to ask, because I think that teaching others what you do is really important.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah. And like I said, that's the end goal, is I would love to do more of that. And wish there was a way to easily, I think that's one of those struggles that all heart-centered, service-based practitioners or healers or whatever you want to call us, that's the biggest struggle for us, is if I could bottle this up and create this in a curriculum to teach someone how to do this, that's my goal, that's my dream, is to figure out how to do that. That's not one of my strengths. I'm a great teacher, but it's culminating that information and figuring out how to put that in a teachable format. And so just, that's one of my prayers right now, actually, is to for God to bring that person to help me do that.
Very cool. Very cool. So I want to do real quick before we move on, a quick shout out to the radio station KUHS Denver. We're streaming live. Henry is in the back, always taking care of me, and my technical difficulties when things happen, and I just kind of go, what do I do? But this is one of the top stations in the country, and so we stream all over the world, and so we love KUHS and all that they do, and for allowing us to come on and talk our talk and have some fun with and bring on some really cool people. So anyway, want to talk, last thing real quick is talk about something that I've been doing, which is Body Bliss. Body Bliss at this point is a couple of things. It's a Facebook group. So it's a free Facebook group geared toward women at this point. At some point maybe we'll have something for men as well. But for you men out there listening, talk to your ladies, whether they're your moms, your sister, your wives. Body Bliss is a group that I have co-created with Dr. Lynn Tran McDonald. If you watch her show on Fridays, we have come together and created this amazing personal relationship. But then we brought this Facebook group together after creating a course together. And so the group itself is in order to bring support, have some fun, learn from each other, learn how it is that we can, reduce pain, kind of all of these things that we're talking about, reduce pain, reduce anxiety, understand your body, learn who you are, why you are, what makes you tick, what makes you thrive, right? And we're all trying to get to that place of where we're doing our very best. And so that's a free group. Then beyond that, what we've created, as I just stated, is our Body Bliss course, and it's lifestyle design for the busy woman. And really the goal is to help people understand their bodies. We also have, this just came to me, we have in this course we have other resources and a way that we send people who do sign up for this course to other people who are amazing at what they do, who maybe have what Dr. Lynn and I don't have. And Connie, you're going to be one of those. I really want to have you in as a part of this as well. I think that would be a really great addition to this course, and so we can talk more about that. But yeah, we're really excited about it. We're kind of in a soft launch phase right now. But join the Body Bliss group, Facebook group. You can find it. It is Body Bliss Lifestyle Design. And then, we're always, talking more about the course. We'll link all of this also in the Facebook group, or I'm sorry, well, in the comments below the Facebook Live. All the social media stuff, sometimes it just overwhelms me and gets to be too much. Anyway.
And there's always more to do.
Oh, it never ends.
You feel like you get on top of it and there's something else, there's something new that comes, or there's more to do, or oh my gosh, I got to figure that out. Yeah, it never ends.
Yeah, it's the have to do. Now it's the Instagram Reels. I'm like, wait, I'm just getting into Facebook Lives, and now you're telling me I got to do a Reel? And tell me what a Reel is, because I don't really know. Anyway, all in due time, I suppose. So,
yes.
Man, so a couple of things that I want to talk, well, there's one, so I'm going to just mention these two things first so we can, because we only have 13 minutes. Time flies, and it flies every time. But these early behavior patterns that we talked a little bit about, I think that's really interesting, and the understanding that so much of who we are today is due to what we've experienced in our past. And then I want to be sure that we talk about your book. So those are the two things that I have that I want to be sure that we hit on.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, early behavior patterns. Let's just kind of jump in. Tell us, kind of what it means and what it means for us as we grow up.
Yeah. Well, we get these, from the time we're actually in utero, from utero on. Well, I'll even say this, epigenetics.
Yes.
Studies.
On my list.
Epigenetics. And I haven't studied I don't know I'm not an epigenetic specialist, of course, but an epigeneticist. But I do know that, like, the things that, I think we have, like, 13 levels of ancestry that impact our programming. So from the time, so coming into utero, being conceived, we are getting 13 generations of programming from our ancestors.
And to add to the, sorry, go ahead.
We come into the world with that, in addition to, you know, all that's going on from the environment of the in utero process with our mom and all the stress that's going on in her body, in addition to all of the things that have happened to her, all of her traumas, all of her, you know, her environment, her behaviors, all her mindsets, all of those things, in addition to the environment around her.
Yeah.
And we come, you know, and then birth is an incredibly traumatic process, even though it's a beautiful process.
Right.
And so, and then from the time we're born, we are inundated with messages, indirectly, directly, verbally, non-verbally, in experiences that we get messages about, like I said, about who we are, who we're not, what's available to us, what's safe, what's not, who we have to be, what our value is, who God is, what, you know, what is life, what is happiness, what are the expectations, all the things, you know, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And we don't realize how programmed we're being. And so, and we do the very best we can to survive and succeed based on those messages. So for me, for instance, my messages were, who you are is not okay. And I didn't get that directly, I got that indirectly. Who you really are inside is not okay. Here's who I need you to be. And I need you to perform, I need you to be the best, I need you to be a great athlete, I need you to be a great academician, great in academia, I need you to be incredibly successful, I need you to be a machine. You know, it was just like, this was who, I need you to ignore everything inside of you and be who I need you to be. So that so I can be happy was my, you know, was the messages that I got from other people. And so that's who I became. And that came at a great cost to me, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And I had no idea that was going on. That was just who I became, because that's the messages that I got. I never questioned it until my body and my spirit and my mind began to break down, and I began having those symptoms. And everybody's, again, is different. Everybody's is, you know, your own experiences, but at some point along the way, you learn, in order to survive and succeed, I must blank.
Right.
And that's where we start.
Yeah. And so when we were talking, you gave examples of, you know, I must be funny, or I must be smart, or I must look a certain way, or do certain things, right? And those are things that just kind of sit in who we are, and they're lies, essentially, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they absolutely are. And we don't even know, some of them we know they're lies, and some of them, you know, hurt us in the moment and are very painful in the moment, and they don't sit right with us, but we don't understand our power. We feel powerless as children to do anything different. You know, we're just so impressionable, we just take that as, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, and we adjust unconsciously sometimes. Some things are uncomfortable and they don't work for us, but we don't know we don't know how to do anything different, so we just go along with it, and then there's a great fallout later on. But yeah, and it's, like I said, everybody has their own, and, you know, based upon their experiences, some people are, you know, then there's, you know, traumatic experiences that happen, you know, that cause all kinds of damage and cause us to, you know, shut certain parts of ourselves off, create, you know, protect our personas, I mean, all kinds of things. And so it just varies based upon our experiences.
Right. One of the things that I kind of wanted to add to when you were talking about epigenetics, and so just real briefly, if you've not seen the show before, we've talked about epigenetics in the past, but really quickly, epigenetics essentially is, so we have our genome, and there are locations on top of our genes that have the ability to turn on and off, and it's all due to, or at least in most part, due to lifestyle. And so they'll turn off by minute, day by day, month by month, you know, so forth. And I don't know, I mean, this is a fairly new study, but it's, you know, however many millions of these epigenetic SNPs being, anyway, call them SNPs, or you call them mutations, which isn't totally correct, but it kind of helps to understand it a little bit. But they turn on and off. And so, you had stated that we have 13 generations of epigenetics, ingrained in our own epigenetic makeup. And then what we have, what we do, what our lifestyle is like, everything about us, they're showing is then passed on for up to 7 generations. And so you have all of the your past that moves down to, the next generation and the next generation. And it's interesting, and I've heard this in the past from someone, when they are carrying a child, I'll worry about all of the stuff after, it's the losing weight or what I eat or whatever it is after I have the baby, when everything that we do impacts that baby. And so, that's a sort of one of the things that's next on my list is putting together a course or something that talks just about that and the importance of understanding your history, as you said, because I did not know the 13 generations prior. I thought that was it's phenomenal. It's truly phenomenal. But then, helping people, couples, because this is men too, understand the impact that we have on future generations. It is our responsibility. And, we're seeing a world of lots of mental, emotional, physical issues, and we can start to change that, and we are starting to change that in many ways, but we just having that understanding, I think, is so important. And I'll get off my soapbox.
No, I'll get on your soapbox.
All right,
I totally agree. And running even though I don't do the counseling work anymore, with my clients in particular, it's all coaching, but I still do, own a practice, and I see, and our practitioners, our clinicians, see, kids all the way up to adults, and so I am seeing exactly what you're talking about. We have more mental health, we have more stress, more anxiety, more depression, more ADHD, more identity issues, more or identity confusion. We have more sexuality problems. We've got everything under the sun in abundance like we've never had it before.
Right.
And it is really scary to see. Thank goodness that it doesn't have to stay that way.
Right.
And we don't have to just manage these things. We can get true healing and true freedom from these things. Yeah. And that's why I love being, at least, even though I don't feel called to doing that work as a clinician anymore, I still get to be a part of developing these clinicians that are, that God has entrusted to me, and helping and seeing them do the work to be able to change that dynamic, and offer people freedom in that. But there's more than there's ever been, and that is a product of, a ton of different things: environment, food.
Everything.
I think it goes back to food in every case, but
well, it's a huge part of it. But like you said, it's environment. It's the toxins that we're putting in our food and in our environment. It's the stress factors. It's the relationships. It's the it's the trauma.
I love it.
Everything is important when it comes to a lifestyle. I mean, it's what it is. But all of the lifestyle factors have an influence on our health and wellness. Physical, mental, emotional, and there's no one thing. I mean, I love nutrition, but there's still no one thing.
Right. Yeah. It's holistic.
It is.
It all affects.
It is, absolutely. We are running short, of course we are, but let's talk about your book, Warrior Arise. I love that so much. And so it says. The book is Warrior Arise, Live Bravely, Freely, and Authentically You. It's amazing. I keep saying that, but it is. So let's talk about it.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it is my story. It's the journey of my heart. It is all of the struggle, the striving, the surviving that I did for, years and years, and how, what God showed me through that. and then the from breakdown to breakthrough, and how I got breakthrough, and how all the things that I've learned, the wisdom, the coaching, the healing, the spirit, mind, body, and I share all of it in the book, and it is also a workbook within the book to be able to help you reflect on the things to reflect on your programming, reflect on the behavior patterns, to reflect on the things that are, at this point are showing up as symptoms for you, and helping you close that gap from struggling, striving, and surviving to thriving in your life, your work, and your business. And so it's a combination of my story, journey of my heart, plus all the things that I've learned, all the wisdom, the counseling, the coaching, the practices and the tools to help you move to close the gap in your life.
I love that. I love that. I love that it's a workbook. I think that's really important with something like this. So, do you work with people online, like through Zoom, things like that?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I thought you did.
Have people all over the nation. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I wanted to make sure of that, just because you were talking about, getting people out in nature and that kind of thing. I want to make sure that everybody understands that if they want to reach out to you, that is something that anybody can reach out to you.
Absolutely.
And so, with that being said, how do they find you?
Yeah, well, my website is conniejonescoach.com. So that's the best place to read all about me and everything that I'm doing. And there's, my information, my contact information is on there, in addition to some resources that I offer that you can sign up to get right to your inbox. In addition to coaching consultations, if you're interested in that, and the information about my two breakthrough programs that I have. One for business owners, and then one for professionals in life coaching. And then Facebook is, you can friend me personally, Connie Jones. I do a lot off of my personal page. I have the Warrior Arise Tribe on Facebook. It's it's a community group that I enjoy connecting with every day and providing inspiration and encouragement. And then, of course, Instagram is at Connie Jones Coach, and I would love to connect.
Awesome. Thank you. I can't believe it that we're already at the end of our time. This was such a great show. Thank you, Connie, so much. I'm really grateful that we were connected, and that you got to join me. And it's just, I just love it. I love it so much. And so for any of you looking for me, Nikki Burnett. So the company is Taste Life Nutrition. This, of course, is Taste Life Nutrition Radio. If you want to check out the website, there's a free assessment on there where you can fill it out. I reach out to you personally. And we talk a little bit. We talk a little bit about what your needs are, what your goals are. Is there something that I can help with? And if we need to go a little deeper, then we do. So, and then everything else, all of the social media is Taste Life Nutrition. So I'm grateful for all of you who have joined. And grateful for KUHS, as always. They have some of the best shows on this station. So check out all of the other shows as well. Thank you for everyone, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Wrong mouse.